now also too. Let's see here. It's always fun.
The moving parts.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
there's always some things behind the scenes that make this thing go. And
Yeah.
there we are. We're on. Okay,
Oh, all right.
Okie doke. Now, Margaret, what we'll do, we'll take about probably a
Just
minute and a
under
half to
2 minutes,
Under
yeah.
2 minutes. We're going to get some music going, a little intro, and then AJ and I will be talking for a couple of seconds. Then we'll introduce you, and then you'll come on in. How's that?
And they'll be able to see you, so we're about to go live. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Jimmy Campbell.
You are at the net. And welcome, friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Shabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right. Thanks to our At the Net podcast girl, that would be the great Margot Carter for that Namaste.
Namaste
introduction. You didn't know that. See, I got
Whoa.
you. Oh, I'm going big time right there.
Yes, you are. International, baby.
That's right. Sanskrit. That would be Sanskrit if you're scoring at home. Everybody.
Central Asians everywhere
that's right.
are loving this.
That's right. Namaste.
Namaste.
Right there. You know what that means, don't you?
It means hello, shalom, aloha, peace. I respect what's in you. What is it?
The light in me honors the light in you.
I love it.
There we go.
Love it.
All right, that's just for our guest, our guest tonight. So here in a second we'll introduce her. But
yes.
Welcome, fans of the Great Game. You're listening to Season 1, Episode 67, AJC.
Wow, 67.
Of At the Net Podcast. So that would be AJC. That would be you, right?
Yes. And that would be CB1, Craig Bell next to me.
And we were talking the great game of tennis as it
seems to us.
Thanks also go out to our good amigos, especially our good amigo tonight. That would be Dave the Brain, because he helped get us on. We were having a little interesting fun about 30 seconds ago. And then Darian D-Mac McBrayer. We always like D-Mac as well. From back of the house, who are not on the soundboards. I'm on the soundboards.
You are producing tonight and co-hosting.
Yes.
Love it, man.
Boy, that's really scary. I hope nothing goes wrong. To make it sound like real people. We're real people tonight.
Yes.
We're
real
live.
people. It's 2 of us, and I can't wait for our guest tonight.
Yes. Also, be sure to check out our good work on Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Basically, that's all the communication sites the kids find popular today, AJ.
Absolutely. And whether you're on those or not, Facebook Live, YouTube.
Yes,
we're
there.
here.
We're there.
Thanks for joining us.
There tonight. And if you'd like to be an At the Net podcast girl like the great Margot Carter, maybe we'll get Margit to do something.
Yeah.
Margit.
Love it.
Might be good right there. Then let us know. We're always looking for a new introduction, even in a foreign language we might add, right?
Love the foreign language, even the accents. Love them all.
Yes. Speaking of namaste, there we go. Did I say that right, Margit?
We did.
There we go. Our guest this evening is Namaste, right there, which is the light in me honors the light in you. That's correct, right there. And she is Margit Bannon. Hey, Margit, how you doing tonight?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome. So happy you've joined us. Thank you, Margit.
Yes, Margit is a USPTA tennis professional, but more importantly, is a yogi, a real yogi. I don't think we've ever had
a yogi, a practitioner. And she guides so many people.
Yes.
And she came from a college tennis background.
That's
beautiful.
correct. Yeah, so we were happy to have Margit on the show. I think I saw her on Instagram, and I thought we immediately got to have her. Probably about a month ago, I think I reached out to you, didn't I, Margit? Wasn't something about that time? Because it's always interesting to find people who are doing interesting things in tennis.
Yeah.
And the great game is fun because we all share a common link in tennis, but Margit goes one step further and is a yogi. So maybe we'll do some, I don't know if we can do some yoga tonight or some there's got to be something.
We could sneak a little in there.
I'm learning. I brought a racket and everything. I can't wait.
I'm not letting you two off the hook without getting you to practice a little.
So good. Thank you.
Well, Margit played junior tennis growing up, has a very extensive history in the great game, started in an early age, did some international type tennis, Orange Bowl, Easter Bowl, trained at that place in Bradenton, Florida called Bollettieri's. Have you ever heard of that, AJ?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I know people can't spell it, but everybody's heard of it for sure.
We'll say Nick's place, right?
Nick's, IMG.
You'll have to think about how to spell it.
Right. Yeah, every time I try to spell his name, is it 2 L's and 2 T's, something like that? I can't remember.
Write it to get it right.
Yeah, and I think it's the IERI that throws people at the end. Bollettieri. Right. That's tough for the
Right, but you practiced at Nick's place a few times and went on to play tennis at Miami of Ohio. Go Red Hawks! Shout out to the fantastic Red Hawks.
Show us your logo. I love that red M.
I got the sign ball from the 2018 team, although they were here 2018 and 2020 at our place.
Wow.
But this is 2018 year.
Oh, that's fantastic. You hosted your old college team.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty cool. Actually, it comes from this ball. It came from the power of social media, right? I saw a post. There was a cart of balls that had these Miami M's on them, and I put a comment in there. At the time, I was not in touch with the coach. Was it different coach than it is now?
Of course.
And I said something like, "Oh, that's not fair. We didn't have those cool balls when we were there." And a couple weeks later, she sent me a couple cans in the mail, and I had already had the thought, I would love to host the Miami women's tennis team at our place. And she sent me those cans of balls and she said, would you consider hosting us one day? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So we got the ball rolling, and then it turns out that the assistant coach at the time ended up being the head coach. And then he contacted me later and said, things have changed, but are you still into this idea? And I was like, yes. So yeah, the coach there is Ricardo Rosas. He's a great guy. And we've made it happen 2 times so far.
Awesome.
We're here for a full week both times.
And when you say you hosted them, they played other Florida schools?
Yeah, so this past year, because they were here last in January of 2020, they played FGCU and some other schools there at the same venue. And so basically they arrive here. This is like the winter training camp, like right after Christmas break, where they haven't been playing at all, right? Yeah. And, for them, they feel like they're terrible at that point because they haven't been training for about a month. They've been out of school. But we hosted an exhibition here both times. It was really funny. The first time they came down, the coach didn't tell them that they were going to be doing an exhibition. It was like the next day from when they arrived. We had an exhibition. They practiced here every day. We have one court at our place, so they were doing privates and semi-privates like every hour on the hour. But then I also got the club next door. It's called Burnt Store Marina, to host them in the afternoons where they could go as a team. And so, they had a great training camp out of it. And then at the end of the week, they played the schools, which were obviously out of conference. But
So they felt rusty, but you made them a home. They got to play a lot. They got to enjoy the amazing weather of Florida rather than Ohio.
It's funny because they're like, oh my gosh, people are coming to watch us play and we haven't been practicing. I'm like, don't worry, nobody's going to be able to tell us. It was cool for us to see how much better they got during the week. Like, it was a big difference, actually. If you've played and, obviously you're seeing them up close. Like, one of the coolest things was just watching them train every day. And, I took that week, obviously, so that they could have the space, and got to do some cool yoga with them, like on the side of the court, and lead them as a team at the end of the week. And really super cool experience. And in fact, before we did it the second time, I was almost afraid to do it again because it was so perfect the first time that I was like, I don't know, it was such a great experience. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it was amazing the second time around as well.
They must have been, I'm sure you were inspired by their level of tennis, but they must have been inspired like, gosh, Margit played for our college a couple decades ago, and here she is still playing, so fit, and we can learn from this lady.
Sure.
So were you like an older sister figure to them?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really funny because we don't have a ton of space at our house. So we have a couple extra bedrooms, but then we found host families nearby. And it was funny because we got one of our friends let us borrow a trailer that Brian put out in the back. He's like, you girls stay inside. Like, I'm going to give you that space, But by the end of the week, we were watching The Bachelor with the team in our living room. It was hilarious, actually. So yeah. What amazed me was, before the fact, we didn't know how it was going to be because you're so much older than these girls, like a little more than double their age now. You almost felt, for me, I almost felt like I was back on the team again by the end of the week because when they're not training on the court, they're basically using our house as a clubhouse. So at the time that they're here, like the Australian Open's on and whatever, so they have rackets and stuff everywhere, and they're just laying around or on their cell phones and on their computers. So it's just, you feel like you're part of that, by the end of the week, even Brian.
Yeah.
Even Brian, that's so cool, even though he was camping.
Right. Yeah. Now, college tennis is a lot of fun.
Brian and Buckley.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He probably wishes he was back in college just like you did. You're like, hey, remembering all those great things at University of Miami. Did not have the Miami Redhawks ever played the Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah. Miami of Ohio and the U of Miami.
Question. We didn't play them, I don't think.
That'd be great. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Oh my goodness, we have to make that happen.
It would be like the Cal Bears playing the Baylor Bears.
That's right.
Because the same, the same suffix.
Right.
But this is the same prefix, the same name.
There aren't too many of those opportunities. Like
crazy.
There's Miami University and University of Miami.
Right.
Super confusing, especially growing up in Florida. When I would tell people where I was going to school, I had to explain Ohio every time. It was ultra confused.
Yeah, they're thinking, 5 hours south. You're like, no, 15 hours north.
We're talking with Margit Bannon today, and we're really excited to explore Margit and what she's been up to. We're going to do 3 sets like we always do. First set, going to talk about Margit's background, and then second set, talk about kind of what she's doing right now and maybe some future things that might be going on. And then the
third set, we're going to have fun and go more, I guess, character development side and get to know who she is, not just what she is and what she does.
Right. Hopefully
she'll have a good time.
Have a good time with us. So
stay tuned to that.
So we appreciate, like I said, your time this evening. And so really what got you into the great game? Was it mom, dad, somebody down the street, next door neighbor?
The story goes that we were in a carpool, and the kids that we were carpooling with were playing tennis, and my mom was a working mom, and they're like, well, they're playing tennis. You guys might as well play tennis too. So it just sort of happened. And I started playing the first couple years, like in the summer, and then it was full blast after that. No, my mom or my parents say, like, the moment I could see that I could chase after a ball and run around, like, I was just happy. I was just good to go.
Was that in Florida? You said, I think we were talking a little bit offline.
I live in the town that I grew up in.
Oh, no kidding.
You're in the same town.
I am. Yeah, even though I went away for a while, I've been back now it'll be almost 16 years.
So you're there in Punta Gorda, which is, is there a Punta Gorda high school?
It's called Charlotte High.
Charlotte High. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, we're in Charlottetown.
That's amazing. You just other than just going off for a couple of years here and there, you came back to the area where basically you grew up.
Yeah, basically. So I went away to school, and then I actually got married and lived in Columbus for 7 years after school. Brian went to Miami as well. And then little by little, we decided to come back.
Come back down. And he was okay with that, probably. Nice weather. He's like, but I can handle that.
He was. Being near the water is appealing and nice weather. For me, it was like the last few times we came to visit, it was harder to leave just because we're going back to the cold,
Yeah.
I loved Columbus while I was there, but I don't know that I can do that weather again. That's rough. I'm fine to visit, I think.
Yeah, it's good.
We think it's rough, too. That's why we live in Dallas. This is about as far north as I want to live.
Yeah, we can still get 4 seasons here, but it's more warm than cold.
Yes,
we like this, yeah.
I'd rather endure the heat than the cold. It's a lot easier to get cooler than it is warmer, So after you started playing some tennis, when did you realize that you were probably pretty good? You were, taking some lessons, playing some tournaments, and all of a sudden, what kind of really got you going in the great game?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm from a smaller town, and after a couple of years, there was a lot of traveling I had to go to Fort Myers to train because there weren't a lot of, we actually had a pretty good group of kids. They were a little older than I was. I was like this little girl in this group of guys and maybe like one other girl. But most of us started traveling to Fort Myers, which is almost an hour away to train. I don't know if you know the name Hank Jungle. He taught out at a place called Park Meadow. He coached Tim Gullickson for a while. So I ended up over there, and that's where I ended up meeting my coach, Fred Kingwa.
Wow.
And I don't know, just it kind of grew, the tournaments, and I was very, very competitive. And I love to train. I actually started training like at a very young age, which is probably what got me into yoga.
Yeah, it's similar.
But I just loved to move and was just into it. I mean, I was into it. I mean, it was tournament every weekend. It was that sort of thing.
And when you say tournament every weekend, you're talking about 12s or 14s or a little later?
12s, maybe a little younger even.
Excellent. Wow. And then leading into the Orange Bowl, what age were you when you started playing that level, the top international level of junior?
I would say that was 16s, maybe. Yeah, I would say my best years were like around 16. And then again, my first year in college was really strong.
And what style of tennis did you play?
A lot of topspin, although now it wouldn't be considered a lot, but then I feel like that wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
I could out rally anyone. I'm very consistent. I'm going to make someone suffer and make them play in the heat all day long because I won't get tired. I wasn't the quickest, but I was very smart. I didn't make a lot of enforced errors. But, you know, I was a slow starter. I would play a lot of three setters.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of long points. Love to be in the back, you know, grinding it out with those ground strokes, and, you know, later learn to get into the net and have a little more of an all-around game, I'd say.
Good stuff. And then you mentioned you had lots of other choices, and then you ended up loving going to Miami University up in Ohio. What got you up there, and what did you love about it up there?
So, a girl that I used to train with in Cape Coral was already on the team, and she had mentioned to the coach that she knew I hadn't signed with anyone yet. And it was funny because she was kind of calling, and at the time I was like telling my mom, like, Ohio, I'm not going to go to Ohio, really? Like, I'm not going to go to Ohio. She's like, come on, don't be rude.
Right.
You know, and I think they were at the time coming down to play USF in the spring. And so we went and watched them play, and she came and watched me practice. And really, she actually said to me, she said, listen, I know you don't want to come here. Come on a recruiting trip and then let me know what you think. And, well, when I first started getting there, because the assistant coach picked me up, you know, you're driving through cornfields to get there. Where in the world are we going? But the campus is beautiful. I mean, it's like ideal. And everyone was just so friendly. It's the Midwest.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little different. I'm not going to say people in Florida aren't nice, but it's just a different vibe. That was back in the day when the coach would say, take out the recruits, show them a good time.
I remember this.
We did that for 2 nights in a row. And everyone I met on campus walking down the street would say, oh, you're here on a recruiting trip? You should come here. You're going to love it. Like, everybody that I came across was so positive about it. In fact, I'm still friends with some people that I met on my recruiting trip down there or up there. And I thought, you know what, let me give this a shot. I knew I wanted to get out of Florida and just do something different. And I thought, well, if I don't like it, I'll transfer. And it took me, there's a little bit of a shock to the system that first, time it got cold and it started snowing, walked to class, but it turned around and I got used to it and I found my group.
That is awesome. And for folks at home who may confuse the University of Miami in Coral Gables with Miami of Ohio, this is considered would you call it a mid-sized to large state school? And it was considered one of the public Ivies, one of those early public schools, state schools that are considered top-tier academics. So not easy to get into this school, from what I gather.
Right. I think it was about 16,000 students when I was there, undergrad. And it was challenging. I got very good grades in high school, and that first half of the year was like a wake-up call, like, oh, wow, I need to make sure I'm managing my time wisely. And I remember meeting with people to show me how to do that, because when you're on a travel bus, after a tournament and you're trying to study with books with a flashlight, and it's not easy. It's really tough. but luckily I found my way there.
And without the internet back then, did you have to fax in assignments from road trips?
I don't remember doing that. I think we had like a little bit of leeway,
I see.
but they were pretty strict on us. They were pretty strict on us still.
I want to give a shout out to Ludo Jeans from Belgium. He's watching. So
What's up, Ludo?
Yeah, Ludo's right there. Coach Greg Perdome. You know Coach Greg, Margit?
I do not.
He's at Grand Canyon University in Arizona. Brilliant guy, and he's been a guest on our show. So thanks for joining us.
Yep, he says
Dr. Greg.
He says great podcast with Margit, and then we also have Jeff Robbins. You know Jeff Robbins from
Robbins,
Bexley, Ohio.
I do. That's one of Brian's buddies. Big Dallas Cowboys fan, actually.
There we go. So you've got several people watching right now. Actually, there's more people watching, but
that's great.
They're watching silently. These are the people who actually would not remain anonymous at
making
this point.
the comments and all that. Well, everybody, thank you. And
thank you.
Ludo's got to get some award for being the easternmost guest.
That'd be about 6 hours, 7 hours ahead of us.
He said good morning, so it's got to be 4 in the morning over there.
4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah. He's getting up pretty early to watch.
I love it.
Watch the podcast.
He's
so we
a
appreciate Ludo.
Morning person like me. I love it. Thanks, man.
Yep. So continuing on, you got I think a degree in mass communications. I was reading. Is that correct?
I did mass communications and film studies, which it's funny now. I'm starting to use a little bit more of that, although things are so different. The last few months, I've kind of been chuckling to myself that, wow, I'm actually starting to use my degree a little bit, except I'm having to teach myself, having to do all of these things. But at that time, it was all I thought about was tennis. It was hard for me to think of anything else that I wanted to do. I thought maybe I did an internship at a radio station there in Oxford, 97X. I don't know if you've heard of it. Only you might not have because of where you are, but it was kind of big in the Midwest. In the movie Rain Man, there's a scene where they're like driving cross country and Rain Man gets stuck on saying 97X, the future of rock and roll. And he keeps the station.
Yeah.
I thought for a while maybe I would go into radio or something having to do with that. I had a pipe dream that I was going to make soundtracks for movies at one point. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but, I thought maybe it would have something to do with music and, but here we are.
But then you met this guy named Brian. Did you meet him during college, after college, around that same time?
No, I met him in college. A couple of his housemates were dating a couple girls on the tennis team. And so we ended up hanging out over at their place a lot. And little by little, the other housemates stopped dating the teammates. And then I stopped hanging out. And then I ran into him on campus maybe a couple weeks later. And he was like, you don't have to stop coming over just because
everybody else is a bunch of losers,
Right, exactly. So that's basically how we got together. And then we were just together ever since.
Yeah, tremendous. What's Brian do these days?
Brian, he works for it's not a the company has gone through a couple changes, but he manages a support group for like an application that works with nursing homes for bedside care. And so he's on the computer all day long.
Sure. Yeah. So that's, so was he a computer person at the time at Miami of Ohio as well?
No, he actually studied engineering, mechanical engineering.
Oh man.
So he kind of got out of what he was studying exactly, but he's really good with this tech stuff. But
good.
Poor Brian graduated before I did, so he was coming to school to watch all my tennis matches, and when we weren't at home, he was meeting us at matches so that we could see each other, and so that guy's seen more matches than probably he needs to see for the rest of his life.
I love that he's a super fan. That was cool.
So after college, did you try any pro tennis? Did you get out there and kind of see if that was something for you?
No, I thought about it for a little while. I don't think it would have been the right decision. I think I could have been a little bit stronger to make that happen. And, that's a big commitment financially. And at that point, Brian and I were planning to get married. We got married basically after I got out of school, a couple months after that. So, no, and actually I didn't think that I was going to be teaching tennis. That was not the plan. Just going back to the communications, I was doing some interviews and trying to figure out what I was going to do, and thought I was going to work at this really cool radio station, CD 101 in Columbus. And when I met with people that worked in radio, I mean, this was right before like satellite radio and all of that, those people were discouraging me from getting into it. And the jobs that I was getting were like marketing jobs where you'd be up at late at night, in bars, promoting stations, and not getting paid a lot. And it just so happened that I went to one of the indoor clubs that we used to play Ohio State at, and because I hadn't played for a couple months out of college, and I just said, "Oh, what do you have going on? I kind of want to get back into playing tennis." And they were like, "Well, let's rate you." Or they started asking me about my background, and they said, "You can't play league. What are you talking about? Why don't you teach instead?" And basically one of my girlfriends, who I think basically just wanted a sub for the day, to cover her. She ended up being a good girlfriend of mine, but she convinced me to take over her spot on a particular day at a different club, because she worked at two clubs called Olympic Indoor, which I eventually ended up working there for many years. I kind of realized how lucky I was to teach tennis. I got to wear my sweats.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is kind of easy. Where at the time, that lesson in particular was just, I forget what it was called. I can't remember what the name was, but it was an open court time for juniors to come. And if they had an odd number, you were just playing in the whole time. So there was no real teaching involved, but it was a good place to start. And I kind of started to see differently how lucky I could be to teach tennis, whereas I thought I was still in the mode of kind of upset that I wasn't playing competitively anymore. So it kind of hurt to be around tennis, if that makes sense. So I kind of just changed the way, or my perspective, and it just, things began to change.
And while we're back there, right behind you, there's a really cool painting, and it kind of looks like you in maybe Miami of Ohio gear. What is that, and who's the artist?
That was a graduation present from Brian.
Wow.
That's based off of a picture when we played Ohio State that he surprised me for graduation. One of his friends is actually a pretty well-known cartoonist now. His name's Josh Hara. And at the time, I think he had done a couple paintings like that for some of his guy friends that played college football. And so, yeah. You can see the style was much baggier than with the clothing.
Oh, yeah. And that's the Josh Hara original behind you then.
It is.
Beautiful painting.
Yes, it is.
Well,
really
you
nice.
mentioned mass media and communication and 97X and all. Let's get to that a little bit later in the second set, where I'm going to ask you what parts of that you're using now in your career, tennis, yoga, and doing some things in the digital world. So we'll get to that in a little bit. CB1, you want to shout out a sponsor and move into second set?
Yeah, we want to shout out to, on the logo there is Master Systems Courts. That would be the Great Blair Descaret, those who are interested in anything that has to do with tennis, nets, resurfacing, accessories.
Pickleball, basketball, sport courts, a yoga space outdoors. He does all this stuff.
You name it, Blair does it.
Yeah, his whole crew. I love the company, and I'm proud to have them sponsoring our second set here.
Yeah, Blair's a cool guy. Wish you could meet him, Margit. He's a super
amazing.
nice guy. He's been on the podcast with us as well. So, but you can look him up online. Check out mastersystemcourts.com for all your tennis needs. But so let's go to the second set.
Let's go second set. This is where we've gotten to know you and who you are. Let's delve into a little bit of topics that are very substantive, that are going to help the people a lot. So I want to start off with. Craig mentioned he got to know you through Instagram a little bit. I sort of noticed you on my radar because the USPTA loves everything that you do, and the U.S. Pro Tennis Association. And to see you serve not just your community in your area, but also doing some Zoom stuff and seeing how you can help tennis folk in general. And I'm talking about tennis coaches, tennis parents and young players or players of all ages, as tennis folks are busier than ever off the court, fitness, on the court, wellness in general. How can players and their parents and their coaches maintain wellness and agility and flexibility and overall wellness and sanity these days? What are some things you're able to do?
Well, first, as a coach, I think people in our profession are notorious for not taking care of themselves.
Yes.
Long hours on the court, right? I've definitely done that, those 9-hour days. And so I think for coaches, yoga would be great just to learn to slow down, to help take care of their bodies in a restorative way. We're used to go, everything's fast. And we usually don't slow down until something hurts so bad that we literally can't move anymore. So, I mean, that's how I got into the yoga, and that's why I'm passionate about sharing this with coaches, number one, because I've been there. That's how I got into it through a very bad back injury. And, I hear it all the time, all the aches, the pains, the ailments, we all go through it. And especially as we age, it becomes more and more important to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Salute. I like hearing that.
Yeah. And I think that we go about doing things in like an aggressive way, because that's how we approach our tennis. And you almost have to take it the exact opposite way of what you're inclined to do. For example, when I started yoga, and granted, I was in my 20s, but I had suffered a significant back injury right out of college, actually. I was attracted to power yoga. Power yoga. And it took me a while to come around and realize what I needed was the exact opposite to balance out what I was already doing. So, I see a lot of things online because there's, obviously yoga is very popular. And there's a lot of people who slap yoga for tennis on certain teachings. And when I watch it, I kind of think, okay, well, that looks like a great workout. And you look really great doing those poses. But if it were me, I don't know that that's the way that I would approach that, because we're already really hard on our bodies.
Right.
And we need something to balance that out so that we can continue to do all the things that we love on court. So we can't approach everything in that same aggressive style. But with that said, it takes a little while to get to that place. So usually people will start off with a little more vigorous practice, and then they become more open to slowing down. And obviously, as far as the juniors, everything is fast these days. I saw it, with the team when they were here. You see it. Everyone's on their phones, their devices. No one's paying attention, right? So there's so much in the way of first injury prevention for the younger ones, which you see, all the injuries in college, all the injuries in the pros. They have access to the best trainers, right? The best physios. They're still getting injured. So it's really hard to find that balance, I think. So we can use yoga with the postures physically, but also mentally to find better focus, to help slow ourselves down, and just to become aware of these habits that we have, ultimately to get to know ourselves a little bit better. And there are tools that you might use to improve your tennis game, to improve your body, but then ultimately find out that the greatest tools might be in navigating these difficulties that you have going on in real life, really.
It's funny you say that. I always make I get to work with some college players, and I always note that the bag that contains rackets and training tools is just as big as the bag that contains ice and tape. And it's almost comical. And here you are, you're talking what? Block, mat, and body weight mostly?
Yeah, I mean, we do use some, like if I move out of the way, you can see I've got a bolster, blankets, and blocks. So we do use a lot of props, but there's a lot you can do with very minimal props in yoga. That's one of the benefits of yoga, kind of like running, like all you need is yourself. So that's a major bonus of yoga. And then there are other things that we might get into also, like the breath, that can be accessed at any time if you know how to use it. So, there are many tools that yoga offers, not just the physical, that might be the way we might get into yoga initially for most people.
Excellent. Next sort of gear I want to shift into is, we've got this virus going on really all over the world. Can you help our listeners, whether they are players, coaches, or parents, or just tennis fans, can you help them boosting immunity in healthful ways, whether it's nutrition or movement or breath work, which you mentioned, or sleep or mindfulness? The observation I'll sort of lead you with is when I've done breath work, I sleep really well. When I haven't, I may or may not sleep really well. And that's got such a restorative quality that engages me in a quality way to wake up, too. So tell us what your advice might be.
I think the breath is probably one of the greatest tools that yoga has to offer. First things first, just becoming aware of your breath is major. It's key. So it's something that you can practice on your mat, but it's something that you can do on a changeover, while you're playing your tennis match, just for a moment, feel yourself in the space that you're in and just be aware of what your breath feels like as a tool of becoming present of what's happening in the moment. I mean, I know you hear those buzzwords all the time, but it's true. And then if we can learn to work with the breath effectively, like there's a lot of balancing breaths out there. Maybe we'll do one in a little bit.
Love it.
We learn how to do that on the mat, and then those are things that you can take to fall asleep. A lot of people can fall asleep fine, but then they wake up in the middle of the night, right? And then you've got your to-do list going, or Brian says sometimes he's solving all the world's problems at 3. And so this is a way of practicing yoga without getting up, and it can be very effective to help you fall back asleep. With that said, there are also a lot of nice restorative postures. So again, you think of yoga as being all these like fancy poses, but there are a lot of supported postures where you're lying on the ground with lots of support, getting a passive stretch, and they're ideal for practicing some of these breath practices before bed. In the middle of the day, what I try to do on a good day in between so I teach tennis in the morning, and then I teach yoga in the afternoon and the evening. On good days, I'll make sure to get that restorative pose in there for about 20 minutes. Midday, kind of like to separate the day, but to kind of refresh. Do you ever have those days where by like 2 p.m. you feel like you've had a full day already, right? And you feel like you could fall asleep? No, never. So
I don't do anything. I'm pretty lazy. I'm pretty damn lazy.
You're pretty fit, Craig. I'm not worried about you, but I want to say I identify with this because sometimes I'll start at 6 or 7, and by 2 it's time for shower, lunch, and restorative poses. And I'm going to get into I want you to get into specifically what for me. Maybe it's some active, some passive stretch, legs elevated, things like that. So I'll have you get a little more detailed for the folks at home.
Yeah, so, there's a posture called supported cobbler's pose. That's excellent. Are you familiar with it?
No, tell us about it.
I could show you if you want to.
I think you should. Now's a good time.
Okay, so this is actually the mat that I teach on in my classes, my Zoom classes. And supported cobbler's pose is one of the, I would say, staple restorative postures, okay? I'm using a couple of blocks, but you could use some pillows. And so I'm just setting up some blocks to support my bolster. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle my bolster on this block support like so. Okay. And then I'm going to sit in front of this bolster. So again, these could be a couple of large pillows. And I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together. I'm going to take another blanket, and I'm going to make a nice roll just to support my legs. And this is great also if you've been seated for a long period of time. And so I'm going to use my hands just to slowly lower myself down onto the bolster. Mm-hmm. And voila. So it's nice because it's front body opening. We get nice stretch here through the chest, which for tennis players are really tight through the front of the chest here. We're typically bent over, more forward bending posture. So now I'm in a very slight, gentle back bend. It's great for the hips, you can see. And basically I would lie here and I would do my breath practice. I usually set my, on a good day for 20 minutes, but I would say it's worth it even if you have 5-10 minutes. And then I would focus on something specifically, a little more like a mini meditation, or I would do some breath work. If I'm really tired, I might fall asleep. That's why I have that alarm. And so, yeah, that's supported cobbler's pose.
Did you listen to music, or do you just kind of let whatever thoughts come into your mind?
I don't listen to music anymore. When I first started teaching yoga, I was really into the playlist, which I'm actually kind of getting back into that a little bit, like for special events and that sort of thing. But we are listening to ourselves yell all day on the court, speaking, teaching. I think it's really important to learn to be in silence. And that's really how I recharge. Especially I can be quite an introvert, meaning I really need that quiet time to recharge. My husband's not like that at all. So yeah, I don't use music anymore at all, actually.
Is it okay? Is it okay too, or is it better, do you think, to be in the moment and just to kind of let your thoughts kind of go wherever they go?
I think it depends on the person. If the music is enjoyable and helps someone to relax, perhaps someone who's not quite as comfortable being with themselves in that way yet, I say go for the music. And that might be why I was into it initially. I don't know. So there's no like wrong or right way. I'm just saying that for me, it works better to be quieter because that helps me recharge. Especially nowadays. I mean, there's so much noise, right? With the news, everything that's going on. But that can be a shock to the system for people who are not used to practicing regularly. And so, yeah, a little music might be nice. I know my husband appreciates a little bit of music.
So when you hold each pose, do you hold for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, as long as you can? What's kind of generally a minimum maximum?
You're going to hold longer because that's a restorative pose. But it depends. We do a lot of postures where you're moving dynamically in and out on inhale, on exhale. In other words, you do different types of holds for different reasons. So if I'm trying to warm up the body before going out to play, I'm going to do more dynamic movement, right? I'm preparing my body to take certain types of shapes. If I'm working on strength, I'm going to hold a pose for 30 seconds or longer, working on building that strength. So it just kind of depends on what you're trying to get out of the practice. And it's one of the cool things about yoga. It's hard to get bored because there's so many possibilities of how many poses you can practice in a number of ways. And there's so many different types of practices based on what your desire is.
Good stuff. Do you help people with some other things, not just movement, but and breath work and yoga itself, but mindfulness or nutrition?
Not nutrition so much. I mean, I know a good amount just because I actually have a yoga teacher who is a nutritionist. So I think that I have some good habits, but, I'm not trained to be able to do that.
I see.
But, I will, if students ask me, hydration is always a huge struggle here in Florida in the summertime. I'm sure it is where you are as well. Little things, that I do all the time. If I find them helpful, I don't mind sharing that with my students. I think it's important to start hydrating from the second you get up. That sort of thing. I believe in eating well. I also believe in cheating a little bit as well. You can't be perfect all the time. Mindfulness for sure. That's something I think. If the physical postures got me into yoga just for injury prevention and to get more comfortable in my body, I think the greatest gifts that I found have been in getting into meditation and becoming more mindful of my own habits. And I think, throughout your day, there are little things that you can do to become more mindful without sitting for a formal meditation. I think I heard someone once say, when you're in the shower, it's a great place just to kind of stop, because you have so many senses going, right? You can hear the water, you can feel the water on you, you can smell the soap. So there, you could just stand there for a moment, remind yourself, because your mind's going, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then if you stop for a moment, look at the water, feel it, hear it, smell the scents, just for a moment, oh yeah, this is where I am right now.
Yeah.
And anytime you can remind yourself that that's going on, it's just practice, and you start to see it more and more. Another teacher of mine says, great time to do that as well as when you're waiting for that cup of coffee in the morning. When you're waiting for the coffee to be ready, you can smell the coffee coming, right? You can see it. So just stop for a moment, right? So I think it's super important to just start to realize what your habits are. I think it's gotten harder during the pandemic. Of course, we're much more connected on our phones.
Definitely. Craig, I'm taking notes because I've got the 3 screens in the shower, and rock and roll and news radio, and I've got
in the shower.
Oh, I've got conservative media here, I got liberal media there, and I've got my day trading in the middle, and I just. Yeah, it's terrible. I know what you're saying, though. These days, we're terribly connected, and the shower is a
Talk
sanctuary.
about being plugged in. You can't even get away from in the shower. Golly, I thought I was listening to the radio was bad enough, but no. Wow, punching markets and left, right.
I mean, I'm of course kidding, but let's be honest. We're all a little bit that way with the phone in general, or iPad, or computers, and all that. Sorry, you were about to ask.
I was interested to see if do more people were they interested in Zoom? I mean, gosh, we're on Zoom right now. I'd never heard of Zoom 8 months ago, but now all of a sudden I've zoomed. I'm learning all about Zoom.
You've gotten good at it. I can't believe it.
I wouldn't say I've gotten good. I understand which button to push, like Pavlov's dog. And then I got another guy in the back that named Dave the Brain, so just in case that he's the safety net for this thing. But do people have they been asking you? Maybe Margit, we can't necessarily come be a part of the yoga program, but we could do a Zoom session. Does that? Have you had that happen a lot here lately?
Definitely. So I teach some regular classes through a yoga studio in town called the Yoga Sanctuary. They were my first yoga home and the best studio in town.
All right.
There. But I am teaching on Zoom through that studio, so anyone can log in and take classes with the studio. But I also teach some privates online through Zoom, and a couple months ago, I taught for one of my high school friends' companies. They were doing like a wellness program, self-care for their employees. So I taught some classes early in the morning for them. And yeah, it's just a nice way. For example, my yoga teacher is out of Oakland, California. Normally, I wouldn't be able to see him maybe but once a year for a training or a retreat. I've been able to take weekly Zoom classes with him, which has been a major blessing. So, while this is a very tough situation, I think that these Zoom provide a nice space for people to get together in a way we wouldn't be able to otherwise, and safely, obviously. I know we'd rather be together in person, but I think things are going to change even when things let up, that this is going to be a part of the yoga culture for sure, for those of us who weren't doing it before.
Well, I think it's a great medium for yoga. I wish we could figure out how to do it for tennis, teaching tennis lessons. That hadn't quite got into the.
Some coaches are doing it, and I wonder if you could take us through best practices, not necessarily specifically tennis or specifically yoga, but just how are you doing it? What's the paywall like? How comfortable? Because a lot of our listeners might be coaches or are on this side of the industry.
Sure, absolutely.
But a lot of them are parents who may be more open to this after hearing how you're doing it. Meaning, how have you set up ways for billing, a point of sale, or?
Well, the classes that I'm doing now are actually through the studio.
Gotcha.
The regular classes that I'm teaching. So lucky for me, I don't have to take care of that. But people basically sign up online.
Yep.
And then they do it through the studio website. Then they receive the Zoom link, kind of like I got your Zoom before. And it's just one click away, really. It's super easy. You know, sometimes there's little glitches, of course, with the internet and people not used to the platform. But for the most part, it works really well. It's a great opportunity to take classes with people across the country.
Amazing.
As far as, well, this is not quite the same because it's more in person because you're asking me about Zoom, but I'm teaching some classes here at my place at PlayTennis Practice Yoga with, you know, Michelle Krause, who
Definitely
cardio tennis. So she lives not too far away from me, and we're doing some of her intensity classes where I'm leading yoga for tennis immediately after. This is all outside. But we're using an app called Courts, so people can sign up for that through the app. So there's just different ways of kind of signing up and making these happen. I'm new to that as well. I'm just learning.
So part of the billing goes through Courts, which is an app. And you mentioned Krause. Yeah, she does the M&M podcast with our good friend Emma Doyle. Yeah. Right. So that's where I know her from. That's cool.
Yeah, she was big into cardio tennis for a long time.
I think they call her the cardio tennis queen.
Yes, she was. Is
the intensity queen.
Intensity.
Yeah.
So when one more question about yoga, because I'm really interested. Is there something that we could do like right now that I think you were telling us maybe some breathing exercises, maybe just a couple of quick things real quick that even the viewers might be able to, be a part of.
Practice if you're open.
We're open. We have rackets. We're ready.
Let me put my cigarette down. Just a second. Hold on just a second. Okay.
Are you guys seated or standing?
We're standing.
We're
standing.
We're standing. Okay. So, all right, let's start standing. I think I saw a racket already. Don't worry about actually, yeah. So if you have your rackets, you both have a racket available?
I can get one. Hold on just a second.
There you go.
Some of us are more prepared than others. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let me get up.
Good. And folks at home, Margit is just in her studio. Hopefully you can see her, but if you're one of the ones just listening,
I got this. Is this
he's going with a golf club. Look at this racket.
That'll work actually.
Yeah, that's good too. He's got a.
No, I got my racket. Here
you've got a Yonex. I've got an oldie but a goodie here. We're ready. Let's do our high five. Yes.
What I'm going to have you do is just hold the racket in your dominant hand and just kind of let your arm hang for a moment. And then if you could just bring your feet about hips width apart.
Good.
I'm barefoot. I'm assuming you guys are wearing shoes, though.
At the moment, we have shoes on, yeah.
And if anyone who's listening, feel free to join in with us as well. Even if you don't see us, you should be able to follow along with my words, I'm hoping. And if you're comfortable doing so, go ahead and close your eyes. So I'm just going to have you feel your feet for a moment. You might even gently rock forward a little closer to your toes. You might rock backward a little bit towards your heels. You might rock slightly over to the right and slightly over to the left, and see if you can find a place where you're a little more centered. And this might feel different whether you're barefooted, whether you've got shoes on. Maybe even for a moment, feel what the ground feels like beneath you. And maybe even compare it to what a tennis court feels like beneath you. Just for a moment, imagine what that difference is, and then just bring yourself back to where you are right now. And so as you feel your feet, go ahead and gently bend your knees a tiny bit and see if you're able to feel a little more of your feet in towards the ground.
Yes.
And then press into the ground a little bit more in order to straighten your legs. That should bring a little more of a firmness to your thighs. And then from the strength of your legs, lengthen from your tail through the crown of your head a little bit more. So almost like you're growing a little bit taller. You're just feeling that racket hanging in your hand, or if you're working at home and you don't have a racket, you're just feeling your arms hanging at your sides. And so now that you're a little more aware of how your body feels in the space, come to observe your breath without changing a thing. And that's hard to do because you'll probably automatically want to change it and bringing awareness to it. Can you notice where you feel your breath in your body?
Meaning deep or shallow or where?
So right now, I just want you to observe your natural breath.
Okay.
So there's no wrong or right, not necessarily deeper, shallower, just feel where you can feel it in your body. Where does it feel present? So that's going to vary depending on the person. And then listen very quietly and see if it's possible to hear your breath. You might not be able to, and that's okay. And then I want you to feel the quality of your breath, meaning you can often feel your breath in the tip of your nose or your nostrils. That's one way to observe the quality of the breath.
Are we going in and out nasally or in through the nose?
So if it's possible, you're going to breathe in and out through your nose, ideally, but if not, you're doing the best that you can. And then from there, I want you to observe how long your inhalations are in comparison to your exhalations. Is one breath naturally longer than the other? And again, there's no wrong or right. You're just becoming familiar with what your norm is. Now, if it feels comfortable, I want you to gently lengthen your inhalations and your exhalations a little by little. I'm not necessarily saying deeper because that's going to vary for the person as well. But if it feels comfortable, gently lengthen your inhalations, your exhalations. And if you observe that one breath was naturally longer than the other, maybe start to work towards balancing out the inhalations and the exhalations. So that might require you to shorten a longer breath. For example, if I'm inhaling for a count of 3, I'll exhale for a count of 3, or it might be a count of 2, it might be a count of 4. Find the length of the breath that allows you to be comfortable without distraction. And if that does happen, you can always come back to natural breath. And it's possible that you might start to hear your breath a little bit more, maybe even over the back of the throat. For some, this would create an ocean-like sound. Or maybe it sounds a little bit like a snore.
I hear Darth Vader. I do hear him.
I was going to say, some people call it the Darth Vader-like breath.
This is the quietest we've ever been, AJ.
That's right.
So let's take 5 more of those Darth Vader-like breaths before we take a couple movement. I wonder if the listeners can hear us breathing at home. Maybe they hear their own breath as well. And then after you've taken those 5 breaths, if your eyes were closed, as mine just automatically do, you can open your eyes and then find your racket. And if you're working at home, you don't have a racket, you can do this with arms up overhead as well without a racket. But if you take this racket in front of you and you just gently pull out with your hands, just a little bit. I'm hoping you guys have enough space to do this. So again, for a moment before we bring the arms up overhead, feel your feet from the thighs, stand up nice and tall, and now pulling out on the racket from both ends, or maybe you're reaching your arms up overhead from back home. Let's see if you can inhale and reach the arms up overhead. Even if the arms don't come up all the way, exhale, lower the arms down. So as you do, you're going to keep pulling out on that racket, keeping that slight bit of tension. And so you're going to try to synchronize your breath now with, or synchronize the movement rather to your own breath. On your inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, lower the arms down. Now you might be noticing, are you holding your breath? And if so, that means you need to speed up your movement. So at your own pace now, 1 or 2 more. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down. All right, last one. On your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. We're going to hold the arms up overhead for a moment. So feel your feet for a moment, and now in opposition to that, feel your hands reaching up towards the ceiling Let your shoulder blades move up towards the ears. Relax your neck, your jaw. I can see you, AJ. And breathe. And just see if you can get some really nice length into the spine here. Obviously, things are happening in the shoulders as well. And as you exhale, lower those arms down. Roll those shoulders a little bit. And there you go. You survived the express yoga for tennis.
Excellent, Margit. I feel like I can serve 120 again now.
Yeah. We've got Gretchen Servo on. It says, great segment, Margit. You know, we've had
that's my sister from Denver, Colorado.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Gretchen, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Did we say her name right? Is it Servo?
You did.
Wow. Hey, from Oklahoma.
All right. Nice
No,
going.
I don't get too many of those
Public
right.
schools of okay.
Putnam City. Putnam City's finest right here.
Love it.
That was awesome.
Okay?
That was awesome. Man, I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and hit some balls maybe after this.
Crack some balls. No need for wine or beer because I feel that relaxed, chill. My shoulders feel good too. Thank you.
Yes, that was just exactly what the doctor ordered. I've had tough couple of days here, and that was exactly what I needed right there. That was really great, Margit.
Many breaks. We don't have to do an hour-long practice all the time. Just take a minute, do a couple things, and just have a little mini vacation right there.
Well, like I said, that was the quietest I think we've ever been in 67 episodes.
We're a little talkative sometimes.
Glad I was able to provide the space.
I love it, Margit. Thanks for kind of stepping out of your chair and doing that a little bit with us. I did learn a lot. I've looked at Wim Hof breathing. I've looked at one of these guided breath work, even transcendental meditation, but guided breath work with a really famous, crazy guy who does podcasts, Russell Brand, who's an actor. Yeah. And this is what this reminded me of, where you could feel this community, not just two guys, but this community of people kind of doing it with the instructor. And I do love this about Zoom or YouTube or whatever. So I appreciate you talking a little bit about how you do it. You mentioned the links and all that, but tell us a little bit about how you might be using mass media to market some of this stuff. I love your Instagram, but tell us a little bit about digging back into your college experience.
Yeah, it's just been real slow. It's been so different from back in those days. I kind of, after studying that, separated away from that. I started teaching tennis.
Yeah.
I was teaching all day, so I was never on a computer. In fact, I think I felt really way behind what was going on just because I was never at a computer. And then basically I've been learning, what happened was I started my Facebook page a while ago. That's what happened first. I had this idea that the place that we live now had a court. My parents originally built this place when I was younger. However, we never lived here. We would come here like on the weekends, that sort of thing. So we had a court. It was built when I was younger. But by the time we moved in, 2005, the court was very old and kind of in shambles.
Oh.
So I had this idea that one day I could teach here, that sort of thing. And I wasn't really even into Facebook. But I got into it because of class reunion we were having it, and I created this page, Play Tennis Practice Yoga, before I had the business. So that's how that started. At the time I was working at the club that I mainly taught at. It's called the Isles Yacht Club in Punta Gorda.
Uh-huh.
And, I just started putting things on it like, our ladies league won their match today. Yay. That sort of thing. And at the time I wasn't really comfortable with being personal with it, because at the time I was a little more rigid as far as this is work and this is play, and you don't mix the two. Sure. And what is this Facebook? And I'm kind of scared of it. I'm not sure what it all means. And I was not an early adopter of Facebook. But then it became clear that I was going to do my own thing. And then I thought, okay, well, this is kind of going to be my lifeline, because where I am is about 20 minutes out from town. So it's a little bit of a drive for people to get to. We're on 4 acres over here. And I thought, well, this is a nice way for me to be able to communicate, because over the years, I taught at this one club mainly, but I have a lot of tennis contacts. How am I going to keep in touch with everyone? So that's when I became more active with the Facebook page, knowing that I was going to need it. And then little by little, the Instagram started. The owner of the Yoga Sanctuary, Jennifer French, said, "Oh, you should check out Instagram. I think you might even like that even more." And I'm like, "Oh, one more thing to learn. I don't know." And so I started with that. And then really the big learning challenges came at the beginning of the pandemic when I decided to recommit to a YouTube channel that I had created. I had put some videos on there a couple of years ago, but it was really more me practicing, getting comfortable.
I see.
Public speaking. It was kind of, nobody really knew, but it was my own experiment because I noticed that when I did things on camera, I really froze up and I didn't like that. And so I was just kind of practicing. Well, nobody's looking at these videos. Let me just see how this goes. And I had a conversation with my yoga teacher at the beginning of the pandemic. I was talking about, really wanting to do this yoga for tennis thing. And he said, "Well, how much time are you actually putting into this?" And, I had put a lot of time into yoga here, tennis here, but I really hadn't committed to yoga for tennis. And so after that conversation, I said, "Okay, you're right. I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm not a tennis teacher. I'm a yoga for tennis teacher," I told myself. And so I said, one way that I can do this is to offer a weekly video. One, it'll be a great learning process for me to get more comfortable with public speaking. It's a way that I can offer a free mini class. No one has to pay for it. So it's great for me. It's no pressure. If someone doesn't like it, they're not paying for it.
Yeah.
It's free, right? And it's a way for me to show how yoga and tennis can work together. And that's really, it's starting to take off. You talked about community in the Zoom. I'm really starting to feel that community with the YouTube channel.
Right.
Getting like these amazing comments back from people that have been trying yoga for the first time, and even juniors who have been with me from the start and are so articulate and are so well articulating how it's improved their games, which is amazing to me. So that's been great. The YouTube channel has just been a great way for me to stay creative in my teaching. And really it's almost like a nice diary of all the things I've been teaching for so many years. I'm still on things I do all the time. And, I'm up to, I don't know if it's 58 or something like that in that ballpark.
Nice.
Videos.
So it's like a digital and visual documentation of how you've gone. And I love your mindset and the way you've progressed to it. Can you tell the people at home, people listening, how they can find your YouTube channel? Is it Play Tennis Practice Yoga?
Oh yeah, it's Play Tennis Practice Yoga.
Simple.
And what's cool about it is that, I think that there are a lot of skeptics of yoga out there, especially in the tennis world, although I think everyone's getting more comfortable with this idea. As far as what I'm seeing, the timing's really right. It feels like people are becoming more open to it based on what the pros are talking about. But I have videos that are not just yoga postures and yoga for tennis, but in little drills that incorporate yogic principles. For example, I have a whole batch of mini tennis drills, all with different focuses. So we might be focusing on, 2 little mini split steps as my partner's hitting, just having one thing to focus on, just to get your head out of, where it goes and all of the things that it can do to paralyze you in your game, and just getting you to focus on that one thing, getting you to focus on that ball. So they're very simple drills. It's not like you'll go to other channels and it's like all about power and everything's impressive. It's not like that. It's almost like, can we go the opposite route? How simple can we, dare to be simple, as one other yoga teacher of mine says, really slow it down, so that students have an opportunity to actually feel what's happening, so that they can become more aware in what they're doing physically, so that they can become aware of their breath. I work with breath a lot with my students. In fact, on the channel, I did a Yoga for Tennis breathing challenge a couple months ago.
Oh, people love a challenge.
Yeah, so I have a week of breath work, and relating it to tennis and yoga. And so there's a week worth of breathing practices on there. So yeah, I have the drills, I have the postures, I have the breathing challenge on there. I have a playlist called One Pose at a Time. There's another playlist. There's a couple meditation videos on there. And then the other one I think is just events we've hosted at PTPY.
Well, to our listeners, go check it out. Play tennis, practice yoga. And CB, I've learned so much through Jorge Valverde and Margit Bannon.
Yes.
And all this time, I've been playing yoga and practicing tennis.
Right.
And tonight, I'm flipping it. I'm going to do it right. And thank you.
Do you think Rafa could have enjoyed some yoga if he would have, he could have beaten Daniel Medvedev, couldn't he have?
Well, Craig, as you know, I'm very, very stiff. I'm very, very strong. I have a lot of muscle. I put a lot of effort. I enjoy to suffer very much. And so yoga is just a thing for me.
If you would have had Margit, in your corner, you might have won the tournament today, right? Would you, instead of Medvedev.
Nobody likes when Rafa does yoga, no? I'm always screaming. I'm always sweating. I have 3 syllables to every grunt. It's terrible, no? So maybe Margit can help me very, very much, no?
Right.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, maybe we set that up for you, Margit. Maybe Uncle Tony will be calling you, tomorrow.
I will welcome that opportunity.
Yeah.
He does a great Rafa impression. I didn't think you would mind.
I was wondering if you're going to pull out Rafa because my mom, her name is Margarita, is a huge, huge, huge Rafa fan.
Love it.
If we're sitting at a dinner table and Rafa is playing, she's got her phone down here. She doesn't even try to hide.
She's not even hiding it.
And her name again was, did you say Margarita?
Margarita.
Just like the drink?
Similar to your name, Margit.
Margit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well,
CB, let's go third set.
Let's go.
Let's have some fun. Let the hair. Margit's already let her hair down. I do not have hair to let down, but let's roll. Let's have a little fun. CB1.
All right,
with
here we
the
go.
third set pop culture segment.
And we also have 3 sets in this. So this is the first kind of get to know Margit section. First band you saw in concert. Hopefully you like music.
I love music.
Okay.
The first band that my parents took me to see was Miami Sound Machine. I grew up with.
Yeah, Gloria Stefan.
But the first concert that I was excited about that I wanted to go to was Depeche Mode in the 8th grade.
Ooh,
Wow.
there we go. Where was this at?
That was in Tampa. I just had gotten done playing one of the state tournaments, and I casually mentioned to my mom, I think we're about to drive home, like, Depeche Mode's playing and we're in Tampa. And she goes, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. And she actually bought us tickets. It was sold out. So we didn't have tickets together. So I sat by myself. I was, 13, 14? And she sat somewhere else. And it was awesome. It was the Violator tour.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that. About 1991, roughly.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit earlier.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like Depeche Mode. They're great.
Yeah,
they're awesome. If you could hear a band in concert, what band would you like to hear? Maybe if you haven't heard a certain band, is there one you'd like to hear?
Well, yeah, there was one that we were gearing up to see where the pandemic sort of foiled our plans. Have you heard of the Foals or Foals?
Foals, no. No, Foals?
Foals.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've probably heard a few tracks, but I don't know them very well.
Really like. I almost put on that list for you.
Oh, yeah.
He's a lot more woke than I am. I'm not.
Mountain at My Gates is a good song.
Oh, that's cool.
They tour a lot in Europe, and is one of those bands that I kept checking like for years. Like, when are they going to tour here? When are they going to tour here? And they were never anywhere near. And then I saw they were going to be in Denver. I'm like, perfect. I'll go visit my sister. And obviously things got in the way, but
and you've seen Dave Matthews like 100 times, huh?
a lot of times. Yeah, I'm surprised that I actually admitted that to you guys. Because
Is he your favorite?
That is Brian's work.
Yeah,
I bet.
Is Dave Matthews Band your favorite band?
I'm not going to say he's.
Who's your favorite?
I probably would have to say yes. It's weird. I don't have anything else like that where we have a tradition. I mean, Brian and I have been going to see Dave since I was a sophomore in college. And so that's many years.
Yeah.
So since like 1996. So, there's just something about, you talk about community. I mean, we have friends that we know only from going to Dave's shows. We see them once a year in Tampa, in West Palm Beach, and you meet up once a year and you're just dancing fools. And it's a great experience, and you can always count on that at a Dave Matthews Band show for sure.
You're not a parrot head like Jimmy Buffett? You're not one of
I am not.
That's
Brian
Florida.
Buffett. He tells me about that still, but no, I've not done that yet.
What type of music do you really like? Are you into like rock, jazz, Zydeco, classical, C&W, country and western, or just country? not western, but disco, rap, reggae, bluegrass. What do you like?
Lots of choices. I'm an alt nation girl.
Oh, wow.
I like the alt rock a lot. I also like the 80s new wave stuff a lot. But I also like a lot of poppy stuff. Like I've been doing my COVID workouts on our court. I've just been kind of jogging laps around, and I listen to the Pitbull station because it's really fast and fun and just energetic. So I like a little bit of everything, not too much country, but I would say, alt rock #1, probably.
97X, Margit Bannon.
Right.
Welcome to the show.
That's right.
We have a testimonial going out to Brian Bannon from Margit. A special request, a love request here on the Casey Kasem Show.
A short distance dedication. Brian to Margit.
Not a long distance, but a short distance, right?
I tried to do a little Casey Kasem there. A few weeks ago,
I know you did.
We impressed the niece of Casey Kasem, who lives here in Dallas.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. I think she got a little kick out of
we met her at a pickleball.
That's right. We were broadcasting live from
we do pickleball as well.
Pro pickleball event,
about a month ago. All right, so if you're in a band, now this is kind of the big question right here. I have an idea where you'd be in the lineup. Are you a lead singer, lead guitarist, drummer, keyboards, bass guitarist? Where does Margit Bannon in this band? If you were, maybe you are in a band, I don't know, but where would you be?
I don't know. I mean, the lead singer gets all the glory, but have the most responsibility.
Right. Well, you said you're a bit of a, kind of a more,
introvert sometimes.
Introvert, yes, but
I think she's an ambivert. She's a bit of both.
Well, what I was going to say is another yoga teacher of mine, he says that he's an introvert with a performance gene.
There we go.
And so I'm introverted, but I can turn it on in certain situations or, in my realm. What are you going to do? Lead singer? I guess if you're going to have the dream, you got to go with lead singer, right?
Sure.
There she is.
So would you be like a Stevie Nicks, Belinda Carlisle? I was watching the Go-Go's the other day, and they were talking about, there was a documentary on, I don't know if it's HBO or one of those, but I really like the Go-Go's. That was 80s. You said 80s, so so that's why I said Belinda Carlisle, Stevie Nicks. Where would you kind of be in this, kind of...
question. I don't know. I didn't prepare for that one. I need to dream about that a little bit more.
Right. Well, no, we're not more than pretty faces here. We got some substance here.
We're not even that.
All right. We'll let you think about that. We might come back to that. Second set. Here we go. First paid gig. What was your first paid job?
First paid job. I worked at my mom's travel agency in high school.
Really? No kidding. What'd you do?
That's where I discovered I did not want a desk job.
Right.
Sometimes those are the best experiences where you realize, I want that, or I don't want that.
Yeah, right. So did you take reservations? Did you take reservations? Did you talk to people about, going to the Bahamas or, going to,
I think I chatted it up a little bit before I just passed the phone off. It was nothing.
Yeah, I see.
It was nothing formal. Yeah. I think it was just a body at a desk.
Or did you say, hello, this is Margarita Reservations. This is Margit. May I help you?
Yeah, something like that, probably. That shit was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Favorite movie or TV show? What do you like? Are you a movie person, TV? What do you like,
I am. What I would have said was always my favorite movie. That's weird that now I'm mentioning Dustin Hoffman twice, but I love The Graduate so much.
Oh.
But I did see it not that long ago, and I've forgotten how, depressing it is at the end. Yeah. It's so funny, but then it gets I love that movie a lot.
Yeah, the scene, the bus at the end, the breakup, the crying. How about just the word plastics? And then you see so much plastic in the world now.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's that movie. There's just so much about it that I love.
Great film. Good answer.
I would say that there's a show on right now. And I think I just missed it actually. On HBO with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a new show. It's like a thriller. That's my current favorite. I want to say it's like 3 episodes.
Well, thanks for missing it for us.
Well, maybe Brian's recording it or something like that. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? What's your favorite?
I'm probably going to say breakfast.
Do you like to get up in the morning?
I want to pick them all, but I'm going to say, or I would say breakfast and dinner.
Yeah. All right, now here's the big question about dinner. All right, so you're gonna have this dinner party or soiree. I like to say soiree because I'm from Oklahoma.
A little French, you guys.
We don't get
to say French neighborhood of Oklahoma City.
Yeah, soiree. You could say a soiree in Oklahoma City. All right, so you're having this dinner party, and you can invite 4 people. And we know we'd be invited, and Brian, you can. Who are the people? And it could be anybody in history. It could be whoever you want. At least 4 other people besides AJ and myself and Brian. Who would you invite?
Okay. Oh, besides Brian. Okay.
Besides, yes. He's there.
He's there. He's helping cook.
Okay. How many people say Roger Federer? That's 1.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
I believe it's 68% of all our guests say Roger.
Right. Because 68% of him like him.
It'd be cool to say Roger and Rafa, actually. Would that be a lot?
Would you like to come,
That'd
Rafa?
be awesome.
Yeah, Rafa would come.
Well, if Roger is going, then I must definitely go. No, I got to,
And Margarita might be there also. Maybe if Margarita was there, then she would enjoy seeing Rafa. And it doesn't have to be tennis people. It doesn't have to be tennis. It could be anybody.
Yeah, you can go in the past. You can go inter-era.
Dave Matthews, actually, because we've seen him so much, and I know Brian would love that. We did see him once, and we froze when we saw him.
Like out and about.
Yeah. Or the day he was giving a concert, we ran into a hotel. Okay, so we've got Roger, we've got Dave Matthews, maybe Rafa. These are so hard to pick, guys.
Yeah.
Would it be like?
Who I would invite? My first coach. Because he passed away when I was a little girl.
Was this Harold?
No, this was, his name was Scott Thatcher. And I was young, like 12 maybe. They went away on vacation. We were on vacation. And he and his wife died very tragically when we were young. So
I'm so sorry.
Sorry about that.
I'd love to see. I have a picture here. I don't know if I can take it off.
Yeah, we want to see Coach.
Sure.
First tournament. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh,
we
yeah,
can. We can.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, look
Very
at the little
cool.
cute
Yeah.
kid. Look at the cute little kid, you.
Notice there's a trophy for the first tournament in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Congrats.
Already starting young, winning.
That's awesome.
Winning there. What do you serve at this big soiree? What do you like?
Yeah, what's for dinner?
Are we steak and?
Brian and I are vegetarian. I mean, we do eat fish now. So like a healthy feast, some fun cocktails.
Love it.
Dessert.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. All right, East Coast, West Coast. Thanks for the invite to the soiree. So, are you an East Coast person or West Coast person?
We really like the West Coast, actually, even though we're on the East Coast. Is that terrible to say?
No. Well, what part of the West Coast do you like? Are you like SoCal, NorCal, Oregon, Washington? Where
Well, our last few vacations, actually, we got out a couple months ago in September. We go out west just to go to the mountains. We like Colorado a ton. We've been out to California, like to Mammoth. We like anywhere you can hike mountains. Sure. I love beach too, though. I know you guys.
That's actually
yeah. That's the next question. Mountains or beach?
I want them both.
Okay, so you like living in Southern Cal, where you got the big mountains of LA, then you can go.
I want it all.
Right.
Yeah, I am a beach girl. I love to be at the beach, but especially being here where it's so flat. We've started it maybe like 10 years ago, where at least once a year we get out in the mountains, and there's nothing like it. I mean, there's just something about being out there. You feel so small, and you're so prevalent, and we're lucky that we've been able to do that.
Gretchen will have you out to the house every once in a while. She'll invite you.
Yeah, she does have. She just had a baby not too long ago.
Oh, right.
Congrats!
Yes, congrats on that. Boy or girl?
Super cute nephew.
Yeah, little nephew. What's his name?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. All right, that's a good name right there. Lorenzo.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Latin. It's kind of Spanish.
My favorite.
My family is my family's Puerto Rican. And
Yeah.
is half Cuban, half Italian. So.
Gotcha. And my favorite young Italian player, Lorenzo Musetti, who I think he beat Stan at the French. One-handed, or maybe it was Rome, but one-handed backhand, beautiful player. Lorenzo Musetti is probably going to be the next star in your house, like Rafa.
I thought you were going to say Lorenzo Lamas.
I know, you can't say Lorenzo and not think Lamas.
Lamas,
Right.
yeah.
Well, he's pretty popular. I'm sure that Margit's probably seen him a few times back when he had the long hair and kind of back in the 80s, right there. All right, sunrise, sunset. Sunset, really?
Evening.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first one. You're like me. I'm a night owl. I do not like getting up in the morning early. I'm not.
Well, okay. Are you asking me what time of day do I like, or what do I like to see?
To see.
I'm a morning person nowadays, but if I'm going to be at the beach that time of night where sunset, that's the best time at the beach.
Yep. Yeah, I agree right there. Favorite season? Are you summer, fall, winter, spring? What season do you like the best?
I'm going to say summer.
Nice and warm.
Summers are kind of brutal here, but
Are you more summer with humidity, or summer maybe no humidity, like Denver, where it's really nice, where the humidity level and the
crisp, sort of warm but crisp.
yeah, we have crazy humidity here. We thought it was equally as hot in Denver when we went a couple months ago, and then when we came back, we're like, oh wait, no.
No, it's not like that.
That's funny.
Favorite holiday? Which holiday do you like? Are you Thanksgiving coming up around the corner? Christmas? New Year's?
I'm going to say Christmas, or just, we used to have a big holiday party every year. And so even just the weeks leading up to Christmas, I'm going to say like that month of December, probably.
Yeah, it's always a fun one. What do you like to do in your spare time, if you have any spare time, besides yoga or tennis? Is there anything that you, or listening to Dave Matthews?
We were in the habit of just going to go see live music. We do a lot of festivals. We have a lot of friends that are into live music. So we do that a lot. We go to the beach a lot. We're lucky to have a lot of nice friends who have boats and take us out on their boat on the weekends. And that's why the summer is the best, because it's really the best time to go out. So yeah, beach and music, nothing too fancy, really.
Have you ever been to South by Southwest in Austin? Have you ever visited?
No, we haven't. That's on our list, though.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Margit, one of your favorite bands, Tame Impala, played here at South by Southwest.
Oh, nice.
Oh no, sorry, it was ACL. Similar,
ACL.
but Austin City Limits in October of last year. So I got to see one of your favorite bands.
nice.
Did you really?
Yeah.
At ACL?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Oh, wow, very nice. Yeah. All right, third set. Here we go. We're now back to some tennis questions. All right. Are you an indoor person? Indoor tennis or outdoor tennis? Because you played both. If you're in Ohio, you probably played indoor tennis, but you grew up playing outdoor tennis. Which should you prefer?
Outdoor, hands down.
Oh, really? Clay?
Oh, yeah.
Hard court clay? What do you like to play?
Well, I'm on a hard court now, so I should say. Now I'm totally used to hard court, but I was a clay. Clay suits my game the best.
Most embarrassing moment in tennis? Did you remember anything that I remember a couple of things, but do you have a most embarrassing moment, like did you fall down and get back up and go, hey, I got the point, or
Gosh.
Yeah. Anything that stands out?
It does. I don't know. I don't think you can get in trouble for this now because it's so after the fact. But we had some playful, I wouldn't call it hazing, but in school, some things that the girls made the freshmen do that involved wearing funny outfits to practice and going to the dining hall. Today, you would never get away with what we were in.
It was a little offensive, huh?
It was super embarrassing. Oh yeah. And the yearbook showed up to take pictures that day at practice. So we actually had pictures in our yearbook.
Oh.
I'm looking this up.
Right. We can find it on the internet somewhere, can't we? It's there. I'm telling you. What's your favorite tournament? What's your favorite tennis tournament?
To watch?
Mm-hmm. Or just be, or do you have you ever been to the U.S. Open? Have you ever,
Yeah, I've been in the U.S. Open. I'm going to say the Miami Open is my favorite.
Yeah. The one with the new stadium, maybe at the Hard Rock.
We went. It was cool.
You
Was it
did.
really?
What'd you think?
Yeah, it was cool. It's very different. Just everything. Did you guys go?
I've never.
So,
I've seen it.
Just the grounds are so much more. I was impressed because we love the old place in Biscayne. But there's just so much more room to kind of spread out and hang out areas, and it's a little more like hip, and the practice courts are amazing with these great bleachers. I mean, you could hang out. I mean, we watched Tsitsipas practice for like an hour and a half next to Fed. I mean, you don't even need to go in to see the real matches. You know what I mean?
And all that stuff's temporary, right? So that's all just made for that period of time, and then it goes away after the tournament. Is that right?
Keep it up. I think they're keeping. Yeah.
Or is that just the stadium inside where the Dolphins play? Because that's temporary. I know that, but the outsides, the parameters, that still stays. So you can go down there and.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, we were obviously excited to go last year too, so can't wait to go again.
Do you like to watch tennis on TV? Like, did you watch the ATP finals today?
I do. I watched part of it. I actually don't know who won because I was kind of fighting my hubby for the TV. Went upstairs, and then I just kind of ran out of time. So I was kind of halfway through the third
We'll
set.
tell you, it was Nikola Mektic and Wesley Kohlhoff won the dubs in 3 sets, and then Medvedev edged Dominic 4-6, 7-6, 6-4, and it was so good and so close, and it was a crazy high level, and Dominic had some chances late in the second, not match points like he did the other day, but but he had some chances to go up a break. In fact, I think there was a 30-40 and a love 40. So it could have gone either way, and it was a brilliant match, and kudos to Medvedev. That was amazing.
Favorite tennis player? Do you have a favorite tennis player?
I know sorry, Roger Federer. I know everybody says it, right?
We're just unanimous in this room.
Oh, you're a Roger and you're a Rafa.
We're all Roger fans here,
We're king.
Not. Come on.
You haven't done Roger. Have you practiced Roger?
It's tough for me to go nasal and a little higher, and so he and Stan, I haven't gotten there yet, but I do, I do Murray, Joker, and
Nicky Kiggs would probably have something to say about that, wouldn't he?
Right. You call yourself a journalist, mate. I mean, piss off. Next question.
Margaret, what sport would you have played if it wasn't tennis?
That's a good question.
Did you do other sports growing up? Were you soccer, basketball?
I didn't. At one point, I asked my parents to play basketball, but then it was kind of like that crucial time where it was like, okay, well, do you want to play basketball, or are we going to take this more seriously? And then I didn't end up doing it. So I had interest in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really play too many other sports, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, you just mostly did tennis?
Yep. I mean, I was active in other ways, but not formal, like team sports.
Sure,
I see.
Right. If you wouldn't have been involved in sports, what would you be doing right now? So yoga and tennis. But if you weren't doing that right now, where would you see yourself?
Gosh, I can't even picture that. But maybe I'd go back to the previous stream of something having to do with radio or music.
On the mic, something.
You're working at 97X.
spinning the 80s college rock.
Music. I mean, the job that I had when I was there was so minimal, but I enjoyed it. That was before like the internet, and I had to flip through magazines for the DJ and find cool tidbits for him to say about the artist, in between songs. So I had to research in Rolling Stone and that sort of thing. And I got to be in there. I was organizing all the, CD jewel cases. And I liked being in that culture. It was fun because that was such an innovative alt rock station. It was small. It was cool, and I got paid in concert tickets and CDs, and I probably would have pursued that somehow.
I bet all your friends probably like that. They probably were like, "Hey, tell us what's going on."
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although it was weird, they said they would say they're from Cincinnati, but it was in Oxford, Ohio. So, but we knew the truth.
So cool.
Last question. This is the biggie right here. This is the creme de la creme. All right, so you're the commissioner of the great game. You can wave the magic wand of tennis. Is there a change, or maybe no change that you make to the great game? Do you see anything that maybe that tennis needs to do, or maybe you just like the way it is?
like it the way it is. I don't know how I feel about the on-court coaching. I don't know if this is like an unpopular thing to say, but I don't know. I love how I think in tennis you have to problem solve for yourself, and that's the way we grew up playing tennis. Maybe I'm just saying old school or not modern about the game, but I don't love the on-court. As someone watching, it's very fun to see it. I don't love it on court per se as a player. I don't know. It's interesting to see what's happening with the line calling now, not having, real people there. That's a little strange to me too. I think it's just getting used to these new changes. But I also see the need in making tennis, I don't want to say more exciting, but you have to grow the game and you have to be willing to maybe make the changes that I'm saying that I'm not necessarily a fan of. Like I know other places are experimenting with different ways of scoring and that sort of thing to make the game faster.
Good points. Kind of like Ultimate Tennis Showdown. Patrick Mouratoglou is doing some of that. Viewers at home, stay tuned because that's going to come up on a Wednesday on our Instagram show where Craig and I kind of can express some of our opinions. But I'm with you. There is so much wisdom in being a purist and not having on-court coaching. But a lot of our guests, including one of our co-hosts, is more in favor of it. And as a coach, I love seeing it like you. But as a player, I'm like, I wish they just leave her alone. Let her figure it out,
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
When people are in the stands going like this,
the signals. The signals. Like, Patrick, don't give her angles. She's going to kill you.
Right.
That kind of
from the stands.
Well, college coaches, can get out there and they can stand right next to you almost nearly and give you all sorts of advice. But then the pro ranks, then, you don't get, well, the women get one visit and the guys don't get any visits. But there's always people up in the stands always, doing this, that kind of thing. It's kind of
and
a shame.
I always think it's strange too, okay, why, I know that they're two separate things, but like the women are doing it, the men are doing it. So it's like, I have a problem with that too. Like,
I'm with you.
Or don't do it at all.
I'm with you. I'm also wondering, I got to get to the bottom of this. We just watched these fantastic matches this weekend. ATP, the NITO ATP finals in London. The women's version of that was going to be in China back in October. It didn't happen. And, there's maybe an announcement about it, but I'm kind of sad. Like, I wish, if it's not going to happen there, I wish they had done it maybe this weekend or last.
They could have figured it out somewhere in London or someplace.
I'm kind of missing that and sort of the good for the goose, good for the gander that you mentioned with coaching. I wish that was the deal with this awesome, amazing tournament at the end of the year, especially since there was no middle of the year from March till really you could say August. There was really not much.
They had a chance maybe to bring it over to London, maybe for the WTA finals. They could have done something like that, which they did really well, I thought, in London. I mean,
it was fun.
Worked around. I don't like that blue court though. That's
right.
I don't like the light blue exterior. The interior, that heavier blue is
the almost charcoal grayish blue. Yeah,
I like that, but you can't see the ball. I just at least my eyes can't. But what do I know? I'm just a tennis pro in Dallas.
You're just a podcaster. Well, Margit, what a joy you've been. I feel, gosh, what a fun guest. And I'm so happy CB1 booked you for our show. And it's been a blast. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
It was a nice surprise. And I've been having fun kind of communicating with you up until this point. And so you can make it happen.
We're not very fun. Sorry about that. He's not. You got to watch him.
You got to watch.
Right. Yeah.
Margit, you're the coolest. Big thanks. Let's keep in touch.
Tell us again. Or tell our viewers how they can find you. Tell them again.
So my practice yoga. I have a website. It's playtennispracticeyoga.com, and I'm on YouTube, as I mentioned, which is also Play Tennis Practice Yoga, and you can follow me on Instagram as well at Play Tennis Practice Yoga. That one's all one word altogether.
Awesome. You keep sharing your goodness and your wisdom and your skills with all these wonderful people. And our audience, huge thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah, right there. That's it. There we go. Thank you, Margit. Have a great night. Say hello to Brian. All right. Take care. We're going to look forward to seeing you someday. Maybe we'll get her back on the podcast one more time. We'll do a recap.
Oh, we got to do
another
part
episode.
two.
Yes. Yeah.
Do part two.
Thanks, Margit. Have a great night. Okay.
Thank you.
Good
Take
night.
care, Margit.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a blast. I feel great too. It was
man,
fun.
man, that's always nice. That's the time that we were doing the breathing, and like I said, we that's like 5 minutes of no airtime, right? That was very quality time.
It was not dead air. It was content, and it was substantive, and I hope our folks at home enjoyed it, and I'm going to keep doing it. In fact, I'm going to use it to go to bed later.
Yep. So let's cue up Jimmy, and we'll let everybody, listen to. They can replay it, right?
They can.
Okay. Here we go. Jimmy Campbell, the great Jimmy Campbell from where? Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, GA.
There he is.
Marietta,
right
really.
Marietta. Okay. Thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 67 of At the Net Podcast. Join us next week as we're going to talk with Marky Mark Gonzalez from Yonex Racket Sport.
Love that guy.
Yes, from Austin, Texas. We were just talking about South by Southwest.
Is there a hipper town than Austin, Texas?
It's woke.
It's super woke, yeah.
Also join us Wednesday night. We were talking about Wednesday nights with Instagram. We talk tennis shorts, right?
Yep. We'll grill each other. We'll chill. We'll grill each other. We'll talk about what you're thankful most for and what we're thankful for, too. It'll be a Thanksgiving show. Wednesday night, Instagram.
Yes. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock on our Instagram channel, because you always ask, what's in Craig
Bell's tennis shorts? And we call it, of course,
nothing.
Tennis shorts.
Nothing at all.
2 pockets, 2 legs, two questions.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
2 pockets and 2 legs, basically. Well, that's the tennis news as it seems to us from Dallas, Texas. Happy Thanksgiving. But be sure to join us on Instagram, 8 o'clock Wednesday night, right?
That's it. Oh, one last thing.
Yep.
If you can guess what racket this is, we'll throw a prize to you one of these days. So guess what it is. Give me a call or DM us, and we'll send you a little surprise. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody, from Dallas, Texas.